says it's starting, and I believe it's live now. So
Canvas?
yeah, today we're going to talk about Canvas. So the end goal of the lecture is to get you to a place where you could build something along this, right? This is a Etch-a-Sketch that I built where I can use the arrows to move things, right? It doesn't look all that impressive, but it is doing something. And you don't have to make an Etch-a-Sketch. I mean, I encourage you to like code along. We won't take it all the way here, but we'll take it like part of the way, just to like kind of see what's possible. You can make anything with Canvas, like any kind of animation thing. You can build side-scrolling games, shooter games. You can build kind of like three-dimensional things. A friend of mine recently built his website that he's been working on. Like this is his portfolio that he's working on, and like he's got this nice wave animation. This is all Canvas. This is JavaScript creating this wave movement. Right, so like possibilities are pretty endless, but you just kind of have to break into it. So this kind of movement is kind of our goal for the day, and let's get going. Sound good? All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a directory, right? Which we've all done this a bunch of times now. I'll call it sketch demo, cd sketch demo, touch. I'm gonna go ahead and make an index.html, and I'm gonna make a index.js. Because I know I'm going to need both of them. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Computer strikes right now. Okay, so we got our Atom and HTML. Right, we've been here before. Right, this is just going to be made out of vanilla JavaScript. This is going to be like without React. So it's kind of a change of pace, and I really highly encourage you guys to start making a passion project, something that you can show in that presentation night, and something that you can put on your resume. And I think it would be really cool. I mean, do whatever you're passionate about. I know like you got your goals app, like keep rock and rolling. But if you don't necessarily have something yet already in your mind, it's kind of cool to build something entirely different than what you've already been doing, right? Because if you have on your resume 3 full stack applications that use React and Express on the back end, you're showing you can do those couple of things. This shows another skill set, right? Like where you're just making pure JavaScript, maybe using object-oriented programming. So we start with our HTML, and inside of our body, we're going to use this canvas that we might not be used to having. It gives us a default width of 300, 300. But I'm just gonna make this 6 and 4 because I think this is more realistic to like kind of an Etch-a-Sketch. Okay.
What are you supposed to get this?
It's a tag, canvas tag. I typed that.
Okay.
That's a fair question, though. Okay, and I'm gonna need to connect my JavaScript in here, right? Do we remember how to do that? This is a JavaScript file. How do I connect a JavaScript file? Yeah, right. I'm gonna use a script tag. I could just write code in here, even, right? Remember, if we go back in time to the days, and we used to write things here and say hello, and we can copy this path. We can go to our browser, enter our path, and we go, oh, okay. And if we open our console, we should see hello, right? Remember this? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then we learned about how to create index things, right? And how do I make sure that all the content's already loaded before I start doing stuff? On what? Yeah, right. There we go. Document dot add event. Listener DOM content loaded. Takes an anonymous callback function. Did I mess something up there? Didn't. Keystroke didn't register. And now I'll just do hello from JS. All right. And inside of our HTML, we have to add that path. So I can get rid of the stuff in the script tag. And I'm just going to add to a source, and I can go. What is it, like index.js? Is that all I need? We'll find out. Refresh our page. Yep, hello from JS. This should be review, this stuff. So that's what I'm hoping. So the question is like, how do we make something? How do we make something on Canvas, right? So a great place to start is to go to the Canvas API on web MDN, right? It's a good spot to start. And we can look at some examples where they have Canvas, and then they grab something. So let's just copy their code, and we'll go into our JS file, and we can paste their code, which I guess I messed up that copy. Oh, it was because I deleted these. Okay, and let's see if this is working. So we'll go to ours, and we'll refresh, and now we have this green square. Cool, right? That's kind of cool. We just made a green square, and we didn't do it by setting a div height and width and making a CSS property, right? What did we do? Let's go back and actually look at the code. Well, we grabbed the element canvas off of our page. This is going to be our canvas, right? Kind of like a painter. And then we're getting CTX. This stands for context. And we're going to grab our context, and it's going to be 2D. There's ways to make them like 3D stuff too, right? There's like a lot of things. We're just going to touch 2D. And you can kind of see what this code is probably doing, right? We can see like 10 and 10. Well, considering that this is this looks like about 10 and 10, I'd say that that's like the start of the upper left corner. And something's 150, 110, and we fill styled it green. So if we actually look at our MDN, it will probably tell us what those are. Not on this page, but we can move on to like basic usage. Does this have what I want? Not really. Let's go to drawing shapes. So something to note is about the canvas as a grid. So the top left is 0, 0. Right? So as you go to the right, you're incrementing on the x-axis. And as you go down, you're incrementing on the x-axis. So that's something that's not necessarily intuitive for a lot of us who grew up in math class saying 0, 0 was in the lower left. In this case, it's actually in the upper left, right? That doesn't change. I guess you could flip your canvas, rotate it with CSS, but don't do that. That's not like, just get used to how it actually works. And it talks about our drawing a rectangle, right? This is what we had. We had an X and a Y and a width and a height. And we can go, okay, well, what do we really want to draw? Well, let's draw a circle. Let's make that our goal first, because a circle seems a little bit fun. So let's go down to those examples. So this is how I kind of learned Canvas. I went through it and just kind of figured it out by reading their examples. Because like it says that this is the left eye, this is the right eye, and the outer circle. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, these are all circle shapes. So I can look at what's in common, right? They all go ctx.arc. They all have something, 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 but they all have the same number of arguments, right? Let's find out what those somethings actually are. I think it's lower. Here it is. So it says X and Y. So that's the central position in the center of the circle. And then it says how the radius, how big we want the radius to be. It has the start angle, the end angle, and then whether or not we want it to move clockwise. All right. So let's go ahead and go up to theirs because they have like some math already built into it. And we can just take it. So instead of having a green circle, what if I wanted to do that instead? What does that give us? Well, we can't see it. Can't see it. Rats. Why? Why can't we see it? Well, I don't know if this matters, but maybe we have to tell it to be filled up. So we can say ctx.fill. And we refresh, and now we have our circle. There we go. Okay, well, that's kind of cool. That's cute. It's a little big. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. Let's make that a radius of 20. Okay, now we got a smaller circle. Any questions on the circle? Yeah. Okay, so if I wanted to make another circle, and I wanted to make it red or something, right? I could do like ctx.fillStyle equals red. What do we think is going to happen when I run this?
Well, one is going to be covering the other.
What?
One is going to be covering the other.
One's going to, okay, that's a great point. So I'll move this to 155 and 155. Oh, 2. So what's going to happen? What do we think? Sorry? Override it? I don't know. Override it's possible. Just have 2 circles. What colors? Maybe. Let's take a look and see what happens. Uh-oh. So we got 2 circles, but they're both red. Boom. Why did that happen?
Yes, the fill overrides.
Yeah. Well, so they're both on the same context too, right? But so there's something else that we get with circles, and I'm pretty sure this is how this is going to work, where we can say ctx.beginPath and we can do ctx.closePath. Oh man, where is my mouse? Down. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. I'm going to copy beginPath again. I'm thinking this is going to give us what we want. And it does, right? So we've started this conceptual drawing of a path, ended it, and then we end up creating another one. So, I mean, this is pretty cool. How, like, before, like, doesn't look like much. I mean, it's not. But, you know, 10 minutes ago, if I told you to make a white screen that had 2 circles like that in that position, how would you do it? You'd probably go, I have no idea. I'm going to make 2 divs, try to position absolute them, give them a border radius of 50%, and give them each a different CSS style, right? I mean, that would work, but this is certainly more interesting, especially when we start to add animation. Okay, so let's add a little bit of animation. So, anybody have any ideas how we're going to add animation? Yeah, Alex.
I think change positioning.
How?
I think Canvas has the context as a method.
Okay, let's take a look.
Or a method to move it.
Yeah, so there's basic animations. And this is going to start telling us how to do some things. If you actually take the time to read it, it will be helpful. Canvas gives us something called this, like we use request animation frame. It calls like 60 frames per second, and that way things can move fluidly, like a movie. And this is, let's see, what else are they going to tell us to do? So this has this, they've created this draw function. And the draw function looks like it's clearing the canvas, because it says clear rect, and a comment it says clear canvas, so we can kind of assume that's what it's doing. And then it looks like they're fill styling something, stroking it, or saving it, whatever. I don't know if we need all that, right? But they're calling this draw, and then they're inside of the request animation frame, they're calling this draw. Right, but they're, so that's kind of, okay, so it's kind of like, let's piece this together. Oh, a sneeze, I have a stuck sneeze. Thank you. Ouchie, wowie. All right, so what about it? So like, let's say I want to control the movement, right? Because that's kind of the goal for right now. If you want to not control the movement, or you want to have it go on a set path, I'm going to let you go ahead and figure that out later on your own. It shouldn't be too killer. But for now, let's just like think about like, well, let's say I want to control this movement. So if I'm going to have to listen for an input, what's that sound like I have to create? Yeah, I have to create an event listener, right? I'm definitely going to have to do that. So let's go back to our code for now. This isn't the cleanest of code, but I'm just going to ignore that for now. And I'm going to say document, spell it right, dot add event listener. And let's listen for a key down. Fair? And that's going to fire off an event. And then I can do something with that event. So I'm going to put a debugger in first and just see what I have. So I'm going to go back to our code. I'm going to redraw it. Okay, and I click, make sure I'm in here. Clicked on an arrow. And I can take a look at my event, right? So I can go, what's my E? Oops. What's my E? So we've got this, is trusted true. We have a key. It says arrow right. Code, arrow right. Interesting. All right. Is that like, are they all the same? Like if I put in a K, what happens? Oops, I'm still here. If I put in a K, what happens? Key is K. Code is key K. Okay. So we can kind of see, right? So let's do something. So I'm going to go ahead and create a switch statement. And I'm going to say e.key. Actually, I can probably generate this faster by writing switch e.key. And then I can say expression. In the case that it's arrow up, I'm going to want to do something. That's something we don't entirely know yet. Let's go ahead and fill out the rest of these. So case arrow down, we want to do something. Break. Case, I think it's arrow right. Let me check my own work. Yep, arrow right, we want to do something. In case left, we can do something. Cool. So now it's like, well, what do we want? What do we want to do? Well, we want to move it, right? So let's pretend for a second that we don't need this red ball anymore, right? Fair? We don't really need that anymore. That filled its purpose. And instead we want to have this ball be an object, right? Because we want to actually move this ball. Okay. So let's do some object-oriented programming. So we will create a class called ball. Right, now maybe this shouldn't all be in the same file, right? We can break things up eventually, but it's just like a demonstration of concepts. So you should probably try to keep your code organized. The first game I ever built on this thing, I did it like all in like 1 or 2 files, and then I spent the next month refactoring it, so it was like really beautiful in its own files. But that wasn't a fun month, and could have been avoided. Anyway, so we have a ball, and we can have our constructor class. In my opinion, yeah, I made it so that I could add a new maze or a new level to my game within, whatever time it takes me to create a maze, like just building out of arrays and numbers, I could add it to the game. Definitely, it was a wonderful learning experience, and eventually it made debugging a lot easier, and it was a lot better to look at from someone who might be interested in hiring me. Okay, so I say constructor. So each ball needs to have a context, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pass CTX into this. And I'm going to give it a position, right? So I'm going to say this dot x, and I'm going to start it off at like 10. I'm going to say this dot y, it's going to start off at 10, and I'm going to give it a radius. This dot radius, for now we'll make it like 20. I'm going to give this ball a color. Maybe I could add this in my constructor so that it like, sure, I'll actually do that. I'll go ahead and add this to a color. So I'll say, see, it takes in a context and a color. Right, I could specialize this even more. I could make them each, I could also have them take in an X and a Y, right? So like, let's say I was making a shooter game and everything is a ball, right? But like, one of them is like a ship ball, another one is like a bullet ball, right? And they might have the same type of collision detection, and they might have a lot of similar movement, but their sizes and colors are going to be different, and the order to do them. So they might share this class or something. Anyway, it's just something to like keep in mind, right? This dot CTX is going to be CTX, and for now, let's just leave that. And we saw before that there was like that draw function that we can keep calling, right? Do we remember seeing that on the NGM? So let's go ahead and create a draw for this ball. So every time we want to draw this ball, we can essentially take this stuff and toss it into here. But instead of in front of CTX, we're going to have to say this, because we're now talking about this specific ball's context. So we can say this dot x, and then this will be this dot x. This would be this dot y. What would this be? Do we remember? That's right, this dot radius. And that seems fine to me. Our fill style color, right, which could be anywhere. This will be this dot color. Right, this makes this a lot more reusable, especially if I have it pass in those things. Should I do that? Yeah, what the heck. I'll do that too. X, Y, radius. That's a lot of arguments, but I could add defaults to them so people don't have to pass them. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. What do we think a good radius was? Let's see, 15 or something. And we'll make this 15, and we'll make this 15. And we'll give it a default color of like green. Fair? Are we keeping up? There's 3 of us need more feedback than you're probably used to because there's not 30 other people to also say they're keeping up.
Can you open your index.html for a second?
Sure.
What is canvas line 9 happen to errors?
Yeah, that looks like an error. Good catch. Nothing's broken, right? Well, nothing is drawing, and that's good. That's fine. That should work. I don't know why this canvas is not recognized. Well, it will be. Are you good on this file? Okay, cool. Do you get what's going on in our JS file? Awesome. Okay, so we've got this begin path and close path. Wait a minute, did I do something weird in my code? Huh. I don't know, my code's doing something weird. That doesn't matter. Okay, so let's actually create our ball, right? So outside of this, we've got our canvas, our CTX, and now at the bottom or wherever we want, we can create this ball. So we'll say let ball equals new ball, and we're going to pass in that CTX. Right, and because I know what the defaults are, I'm not going to pass anything else. Right, so I've got this ball, and now I also need to call, let's say if I wanted to draw it, I have to say ball dot draw. Right, that's going to call that function. And we should have our ball. Let's hope everything went right. Nope, something went wrong. Let's see, what is it? Reference error, cannot access ball before initialization. So this is to do with hoisting. I'm going to go down to the bottom and do it instead for right now. And we get our ball. Questions on that? All right, so that's pretty cool. We drew a ball, right? That is tight. So let's say I want to keep drawing a ball, just constantly. Okay.
Another ball or
Just the same. Let's just draw a ball, another ball, like the same ball, right? I want to. Maybe I should put this lower. So I'm no longer going to call draw here. So I'm going to remove that, and inside of my step, I'm going to say ball dot draw. All right, and then I'm going to say request animation, right? And I'm going to pass in step. So this is going request animation frame calls every like 60 frames per second, right? So this is going to say call step, step's going to draw it, and then it's going to call request animation frame, which is going to call step again. And so we're going to just keep calling this function over and over again. Does that make sense? Okay.
When is the function called in each year?
Step? Oh, right. Sure. We haven't called it. Good idea. Yeah, let's just call step down here. So we'll just step. Right, so what are we expecting to see on the screen? And I'll just do a little fun thing. All right, because I'm expecting to see the same thing that we've been saying, but hey, y'all, right? But I think we're going to have a bunch of console logs. Right, so it's calling a lot. Nothing's moving, but it is calling itself over and over. Cool. Okay, that's different. That's might give us an idea of animation. Well, we created this cool little listener that we're not doing anything about. So what about if every time I pushed on the up arrow, we took our ball and we said like ball.x, and we did. If I want to move it up, which direction do I have to go? I have to go y. What's the top axis of our 0, right? So if I wanted to go like 7 steps, right? We have to do minus equals 7. Oh, it should be ball y. Yes, thank you. Is that what you mean? Yeah. No, yeah. This is correct now. You were right. This is calling the wrong thing. And for down, it's going to be the opposite of that, right? So let's say I want to do 7. I should space things correctly. Okay. And let's say to go right, I'll say ball.x. And that's going to be plus equals 7. Arrow left. I'll say ball.x minus equals 7. Okay, so what I'm thinking is going to happen, and what I'm hoping is we're going to, I'll see you later, Alex. Every time I click on an arrow, it's going to change our x and y. When it goes to redraw, it's going to look at its own x. So let's see if that works. That's the hope. It may not, but we'll try. So we refresh, and there's a syntax error. Unexpected identifier. Line 36. It's missing the colon. Let's see if that fixes things. Okay. Okay. Here, look at this. So maybe I should close this for now. Right? We've got some movement. Right? We've got this ball. It's painting. Yeah, it's kind of painting like a snake, right? Now, let's say I don't really like that trail. I want to be able to move a ball independently, right? And you see, it's got this kind of awkward movement. See, I can't go on angles really well. I have to like go like that. But it's kind of fun. Okay, so how do I get rid of? Let's get rid of that because that was getting annoying. But let's say I want to clear it before I draw it every time, right? So this isn't really good for our Etch-a-Sketch game, but this is good for maybe a lot of other games you might want to build, right? So I could say ctx dot clear rectangle or clear rect, and I'm going to pass in the top, left, it's key. Yeah, it's going to be available. Although I encourage you to like type along, you'll definitely learn a lot better. But anyway, we got our canvas. dot width, right? We can go width, and we have our canvas dot height. Right, that's something we can call on our canvas. So now, what are we expecting? You got a guess for what's going to happen?
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Wait.
Like intuitively, what do you feel clear rec's going to do?
As soon as you stop drawing,
Okay, sort of. So we're going to call step.
yes,
Step is going to clear the canvas, and then it's going to
draw.
draw the ball. Then it's going to call step again, which is going to clear the canvas
It's just gonna be like
and
a
draw the
circle.
ball. Right, so instead of having this snake trail that we have,
It's gonna be dots.
we'll now have a moving ball. Right, so that's pretty cool. How did we do that yesterday? You know, right? Okay, so that's cool. That is really cool. I hate the movement. Does anybody else hate that movement? Like that. Yeah, it's cool,
It's old school.
but it'd be a lot cooler if it was smooth, right? It's a key question. You don't like it either. Nice. Me neither. Okay, so well, how can we make this smooth? Right. This was something that I wish I was told when I was first started. Okay, so we can go to our code and we can create a vector of movement, right? So we can create like a speed, and you could change things, you could add things to change the speeds, right? I mean, keep in mind, everything is like limitless. Just have so much creativity that you can create with this. But for now, let's give us an x vector. So I'm going to say this dot vx or vector x, and let's say I want to give that a speed of 3. Although again, this is something I could pass in as an argument, right? And then I'm going to say this dot vy, and I'm going to give that a vector of 3. Okay, well that's all good, but how does that really help us? I don't know. But maybe we can also create this movement object that goes this dot movement, and this could determine for us which directions we're moving. That makes sense? So we could have it say like we could have it be going up, and it would say whether or not we're going up, down whether or not we should be going down, left or right. So our movement object points to an object that has up, which I should initialize a false because I don't want anything to be moving yet. Down, which can be false. Say left, which is false, and right, which is false. Okay, so now we have this movement object. Okay, well, what good does that do, right? That doesn't really do anything for us yet, right? Because we're not using our vx, we're not using our vy. So okay, let's create another function inside of here, inside of our draw, that updates our position. So we could say update position. Does that make sense? So we're going to call this so that we can change our x's and y's based off of our vectors. That's a little bit of a thing to take in. Maybe as we do it, it'll make a little bit more sense. So we can say like, hey, if this dot movement dot up, then we should be moving upwards, right? How do we move up? How are we gonna? What's the next line? What do we think the next line will
Do we need to change false to true?
be? So that's going to be based. We will have to do that, but not in this one, because this function is only going to update our position. So our position is being marked by our x and our y.
It's like updated.
Yeah, so we have to update the coordinates. And so if we're moving up, what way should the coordinates be updated? Well, let's start with this dot x or y. Okay. Which way is up? Which way is down?
Minus.
Yeah. So we're going to say minus equals this dot vector y. Fair? And okay. And how about if I say if this dot movement dot down, what do we want to do?
This dot y plus the pulse this dot.
Perfect.
This whole movement, line 3.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, excellent. I totally am with you. And then let's also do the same thing for right. You know, so let's say if this movement dot right, and we can say this dot, this time would be x, and we'll say plus equals this dot vx. Make sense? And I will just make a little faster work of this. Say left, and I will say minus equals. It's cute. So we went over that when you weren't here, but that is because of the way Canvas is oriented. The top left is 0, 0. Okay, so we're still not calling this anywhere, right? So if I go to our code right now, it's still going to be the exact same that it was. Like we've done this change, but we're still just adding to our x and y on our listener. So what do we really need to be doing? We already kind of said it once.
Line 36.
Oh, thanks. That's silly. Okay, good. But what do we really need to be updating now? When we change, when we click and we're moving our things up and down, what needs to happen when we push down? Yeah, we're working on the smoothness. And so right now we're just incrementing y by something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we just created something that could potentially already update it based off of how the movement object is, right? So with that in mind, we can say, hey, if we're going up, then we have to change the movement. So we can say, if we push up, ball.movement.down should be now false, right? Because we shouldn't be able to go up and down at the same time. And ball.movement.up, well, that should be true. Is that fair? Okay, so the same thing goes to inverted. So we're going to go like that, move that down to there, and this becomes true, and this becomes false. So now if we're going downwards, the movement of down should be true, and the movement of up should be false. That feels fair, right? I can't walk forward and backwards at the same time. I'm going to have to pick a direction. I can walk forward and to the right, right? So let's add that for our right. I'll get rid of this. Let's see. I don't need that anymore. I don't need this. So I can say ball.movement dot right should be set to true. And I'll say left should be set to false. There. And I'm going to copy that. Bless you. Move it down. Get rid of that because that's not supposed to be there. Get rid of that. That's not supposed to be there. And switch these back. So now if we're going left, then our right should be false. And our left should be true. Interesting. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go back to our code. Refresh. Uh-oh. Nothing's working at all. Why is nothing working? Does anybody know? Yeah, that's going to be necessary. All right, so let's go back, just check what we have. We have our ball, constructor, takes in all that crap. We've got our draws the ball. We are drawing the ball. That's good. We've got our update position, so this should be changing the y and x. We've got this listener that updates the movement so we can tell and adjust the update accordingly. And we've got this step, and the step clears the rectangle, draws a request animation frame. What are we missing? Why is it not working?
Like, are we updating positions?
See, we're not, right?
We're not calling it.
We're not calling it anywhere. Great. Where do you think we might want to call it?
Somewhere right there.
Yeah, right? Because we want to call it with every call.
Yes.
So let's do it. So we can say ball dot update position, invoke it, and let's see what happens. We refresh, and all of a sudden, that's pretty smooth. It's a lot smoother. I could increase the vector and size and it would look better. So here's something that is kind of annoying. If I push up, you'll see it keeps going up, right? So that's like not, I don't feel like I've got great control of it. Maybe that's good for some game, not for my game. Yeah, but you want to be able to control it. Like when I lift up, I don't want to keep going. After you lift up?
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah.
So you don't get stuck in yourself or.
Because this thing never stops. It never stops. That's
Yeah.
Corey, you weren't open all the time. That's fine.
You really do it.
Yeah, so if I push down, it just keeps going. So yeah, I guess that could work for Snake.
I thought you were holding it.
Okay, so how do we get that to stop? Well, any suggestions?
That's-
Yeah, let's make an event listener for a key up. Right, we've got key down. I want to also stop on my key up. Because this definitely would be a crummy Etch a Sketch.
So when you're pressing tab, you let go, it stops.
That's what I want to happen.
But currently,
It just kept going. Okay, here, John, I'll do it again. Ready? Okay, refreshing the page. Pushing down. My hands are in the air. Okay. Right, that's a behavior we don't necessarily like, although some of us seem to be obsessed with Snake, which is that's totally cool. So I'm going to do a switch, and I'm going to again listen for e.key because we've already been through that, and in the case that it's arrow up, I'm going to turn it to false. So I'm going to say ball dot movement dot up is false. So I'm going to set that back to false. So as soon as I lift it up, it goes back to false. And go ahead and do that for the down. I'm going to go ahead and do that for left. And I'm going to go ahead and do that for right. Does that make sense?
all key up and key down are keywords.
They're events that occur. Yeah. Okay, so now if I go down, I have to hold it. There's a little bit of a delay, but that's something that can be worked out, with some work. Yeah, so that's something, right? So if I keep going down to the end of my canvas, it goes off. So that's kind of sucks. Like, that's not how an Etch-a-Sketch works, right? Okay. So I'm gonna have to do something, right? Now there are different types of collision detections, but for this case, I'm gonna add that in my update. So I can go into update that we created, and I can say like, hey, so I did that, and I'll say I have that, this dot y dot x minus by, but I can say, hey, if this dot y, if that's less than 0, right? So that means like I'm higher than the top of the page. I'm just gonna undo what I did and say this dot y plus equals this dot by. Does that make sense, that line of logic? Because I'm subtracting from y every time, right, while it's going up. Well, because we saw a moment ago, here, if I refresh here, I'll do it left because I've already fixed y. I can go off the page. And I could keep going right now. And now when I go down, like, it might take a while for me to get back when I go right. Like, there it is. But like, that's not Etch-a-Sketch behavior. Right, now maybe if you were creating a snake, maybe you want it to die when you hit the wall, or maybe you want it to come out the other side, right? You can handle that differently, right? The possibilities are kind of endless. There's also like, you could do math and actually get, because we're doing it by the center of the circle right now, but this way, but we could also do the math, and which there's lots of math out there already on there that like, so you can have better collision detection. So if you wanted two balls to interact, they could hit each other and bounce. Like that game where you like do a balloon shooter or whatever, and the ball hits and gets stuck, and then if they're the same color, right? You can create all these things. You could have it bounce off the wall at an angle. Yeah. Yeah, this is talking about the canvas. Right. Well, I'm saying once this is going above our canvas, so if y is -1 there, like I'm no longer on the canvas screen. Like it still goes, it's just not visible. Our canvas screen isn't holding it. So I go, okay, I'm gonna undo that last move. So I'm gonna use that same concept for all of these. So I'm gonna say like, hey, if this dot y is greater than canvas dot height, do I have to pass in canvas? I don't think so. Yeah, so if that's greater than the canvas height, I'm just gonna undo that move too. This dot y minus equals this dot by. Fair? And I'm gonna go ahead and do that for the right side as well. So I'll say if this dot x, yeah, exactly. So if this dot x is greater than, or let's say less than 0, or we'll do whatever. We're going to the right, so yeah. So this would be greater than canvas dot width. I'm just gonna undo that. This dot x. It's a little hacky, right? But it should get the job done. This dot bx. And last but not least, you can say if this dot x is less than 0, what do we want to do? Yeah, right. Perfect. So now let's go back to our code and let's try this out. So I push and it's not letting me escape. Ooh, okay, well this is starting to exhibit some kind of etch-a-sketchy behavior. That's cool, yeah. I mean, that's like pretty much everything. Like, so if we wanted to make it look more like an etch-a-sketch, right, I can go ahead and make a CSS file. So I can say touch.index.css, right? And then I can link it, right? How do I do that link in our HTML? Do you remember?
Or
It's a link tag. So it's inside of the head. Be a style tag if I wanted to do it right here. But in here instead, I can go link, style sheet, filling something else out. I'm just going to say index.css. And I'm going to style it a little bit. So let's say I want my canvas. I'm just going to kind of do a rough and kind of a quick. What's this one doing? That's not even nice. Just kind of a quick and dirty style, right? Say canvas. And give it a border like 5x solid red, let's say. Give it a margin 70 pixels. I don't know, right? It doesn't really matter. Background, let's say gray, because that's the color of the screen. Right? And go here, refresh. Oh, okay. Now we've got this green ball. We should probably get rid of that clearing because we no longer if we're deciding to build an etch-a-sketch, we need the trail of what it leaves, right? So that's inside of our step. We can get rid of our clear rectangle. So now we're actually like painting. Keep in mind that like you could have it follow your mouse and stuff too, right? That's different listener. It's like mouse over kind of listener. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit closer. I think I'm pretty happy with that styling, to be honest. Like, I don't think we need to make it like look totally polished. There's a couple things I want to like fix though still. Let's change the color. So for CTX, if I'm remembering, what's our ball take? Takes in CTX color X, Y, and R. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say our ball is CTX. And then what did I say? Color? Black. And X I'll say is 10. 10. And my radius is going to be 2. Right, so now we've got this look. That's kind of cool. It's not behaving totally perfect. I think part of that might be just because our VX and VY is kind of fast. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to 1 for now so that it doesn't skip over any spots. Now we have kind of like this slower, smooth. This is more like an etch-a-sketch feel, in my opinion. And we can see that when we go to the side, it like goes down the side just like an etch-a-sketch used to. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So what else? Let's see. What else is kind of interesting? What about centering the canvas? Well, sure, we can. Sure. I mean, that's no problem, right? We can just go to our CSS and margin auto. That should work. Oops, that totally didn't work. Why didn't that work? I don't know why that's not working. But yeah, I could put in another div and then justify content center inside of a flex. That's not that's not the point, right? It's definitely possible. We can move the canvas all over the place. That maze game I made is essentially what we're building here, although I built all these mazes to be drawn differently. And then what I'm moving is just the canvas. I'm just flipping the canvas randomly with different JavaScript. All right, that's all that's like going on. That's not something I'm drawing. I'm just actually moving the actual, I'm rotating the canvas itself. So the real Etch-a-Sketch has kind of like that white dot. You know that dot I'm talking about? So let's say I wanted to create that little white dot, because like right now, if I go to the right, and then I go to the left, I can't see where I am, right? But in Etch-a-Sketch, you always could, right? Okay, so let's go make that dot. Anybody have any idea how we could do that? Like real quick and dirty. Yeah, that's just a function argument, John. So I think we could do it here. So this is the color and that's the fill. Right, I think I could copy all of this. And just still put it in the same spot, but change the radius to be smaller. Change the color to be gray. And now we'll draw the ball inside the ball, right? Let's see if that works. Did I break something? Reference error, gray is not defined. Well, that's because it's, well, because it's not a string. Sure, we can make it white. Maybe it'll be more visible. The real Etch-a-Sketch is gray. You see that white though?
Yeah.
Right? So now we can see where we are. So even when we backtrack over things, we can see. Yeah, perfect. I think that's just about everything that I had planned to show. The movement and shake stuff that I did is just some CSS things. I'd like to show this piece of code here. Right, so this way, if I wanted to have Z have the same behavior as arrow down, you can do case statements like that and it'll actually hit. Both of those will hit this. So you can have as many cases as you want to have something hit. That's, that's whatever. And that's the Etch-a-Sketch. Any questions? Cool, so like I highly encourage you to think about other side-scrolling games or any kind of movement things. Like you can really build anything. I know a guy who built like a Mario thing. I know someone who built a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fighting thing. I know someone who built like just a shooter game where like space is going down and you're shooting it down with a gun. You can use Sprite. Well, yeah. So that was the very start of the lecture. I would go to the Canvas API and MDN. I would watch videos. I would follow along with this. If you decide what you want to make, then you can start making it. You can iterate through an array, right? And that's how my maze game works. And each element in that array can be something to be drawn in a specific way. So you can make a scene and the ground and all that, and the sky based off of how things are drawn. You can put a canvas inside of a canvas. You can, what else can you do? I mean, you can just do pretty much anything. A lot of people, if they want to have sprites, a sprite is the picture that you see. So like Mario, you can make Mario, but then to have it look like Mario, you wouldn't draw that. you would use a picture that has a series of movements, and you could have them, depending on which direction they are, you show which kind of picture, and there's movements. Those are called sprites. So you would have all the other things first, like the guy I know who made Mario had like just a black kind of like box that was going to be Mario, and the black box could crouch down and go up, and it had all this collision detection. And then at the very end, that's when you import your pictures and stick them over the images. So all the logic is already the same. It's just instead of it being drawn in a black box, now it just renders that picture. That makes sense? And enough to get going? Yeah. All right, great. Thank you so much.